Monday. Last week my sound was a little soft, so hopefully it's better this week. I'm messing with settings and getting the technology all adjusted because that's always the fun of technology. We get to be here live together and have a good time and get some motivation for the week. But sometimes it doesn't work. But it looks like we're working today. So welcome to this week's live Monday music motivation. Today I wanted to kind of test out an idea that I'll probably make a longer normal Saturday video about at some point, but it's something that's come up for several of my students recently, and I think it's really worth diving into and unpacking, and it hopefully will be a little bit of a different perspective or a little bit of food for thought for you wherever you're at in your clarinet and music journey. So what I'm talking about today is this idea of sort of fixed skill. We're probably all familiar with Carol Dweck's work on the fixed versus growth mindset, where a fixed mindset sees their sort of abilities as here and they can't go above that, and they're sort of hesitant to test themselves and put themselves out there, because if they do something that they should be able to do and fail at it, then it means that their skill isn't as high as they thought it was. Whereas the other side of that is the growth mindset, which is the idea that everything we do is an opportunity to learn, and we can continuously be growing and getting better, and every failure is just something that we get to work on and grow to be able to overcome whatever the failure is. This idea that I'm getting at is kind of related to the fixed versus growth idea, but it's really about your skill. And here's how it's come up with a lot of my students lately, is they will have done something like played a piece that was this level of difficulty. Of course, also giving pieces like objective levels of difficulty, or saying this piece was this hard, is a little unrealistic, because there's more variables to that, where maybe the rhythm was this hard but the phrasing was this hard and the notes were this hard, or there's a bunch of variables to that, and what hard is completely subjective as well. But for this explanation, let's say they've played a piece that's this hard, so they assume, since I accomplished something at this level, anything below that level should be easy, and anything above that level is going to be difficult. However, it doesn't work that way at all, and it's a little bit more complicated than that. The reason why this is a problem is when they've done something at this level and then start working on something at this level and it's not going well, it becomes frustrating, because you're like, well, I should be this good. I've played pieces this hard before. Why is this level piece giving me problems? And sure, if you're a professional and you play many pieces and regularly play pieces at this level, stuff significantly easier, you'll be able to sight read because you have experience at this level. But if you sort of peaked your skill at this level on one piece, then it's completely normal to struggle with stuff that's a little bit easier than that, or maybe even a lot easier than that. Because what's much more important than your skill level when it comes to learning something and comes to working on something is not that skill, it's your familiarity with the piece. And I think that's what happens over time as you're learning something. The piece that you think that you did really well, that was at this level of difficulty, realistically, by the time you got it down, it was so familiar that the difficulty of it has actually come down. Because hard music is not an objective thing, like I was saying. There's no such thing as like, this piece is hard and this piece is easy. Yes, to some extent, like you can say that this piece is probably harder and will take more time to learn than another piece. But what it really is your familiarity with it. You could take a piece that's harder, but if you've practiced it for dozens of hours and feel really comfortable and familiar with it, it's going to feel easier to you than something that's technically easier but less familiar. So it's all about that familiarity in it. And I think the big point and the big key takeaway from this idea that I want you to have is that your skill level is not fixed. Just because you think your skill is at a certain level, you should be able to play pieces that are easier than that, is not the case at all. And if you want to go for pieces that seem impossibly difficult, those are also achievable because your current skill doesn't matter. All that matters is your familiarity with the piece and the effort that you put into learning it. So don't expect something easy to go well without putting any effort into it. And don't expect things that seem hard to be impossible, because everything's possible with enough time and practice and dedication and learning put into it. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if this is an interesting topic and if you'd like me to see me go more in depth with this on a longer video rather than just the Monday music motivation. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of motivation, a little bit of food for thought. Wherever your skill is, you're able to achieve things, and you shouldn't take anything for granted. Don't say, oh, I should be able to play this because it's easy. You should be able to play it if you're familiar with it and you're well practiced with it. So speaking of getting well practiced, let's go ahead and pull up our template and fill out your template so that you can have a good game plan for what you're going to be learning and getting familiar with this week. So if you're unfamiliar with the template, here's what it looks like. You can go to quickstartclarinet.com/get started. That link's in the description if you want to download this exact template, or you can just recreate it for yourself. It's the date for the week, reflection of how things are going for you, your goal of what you want to accomplish this week, and then your plan for what you're going to do. My plan's a little bit up in the air. It's kind of fun because today I'm going to be rehearsing for my recital with my accompanist, and I'm going to sort of go in. I feel really well prepared. I feel like I know the music really well, and I'm going to be able to put it with the piano, hopefully no problem, and it'll come together really easily. But I'm going to take any spots that were a little tricky and a little challenging from today, and that's going to be my focus for the week. So I don't quite know what my focus is yet, but I know what my focus is going to be, and I still have that plan, and I still have those times to practice in my calendar, scheduled, ready to go, so that they actually happen. And that's the most important part of this template, is that you take it, plan what you want to do, figure out what you're achieving this week, schedule it, set reminders so that you actually commit to it like an appointment. Because when we keep showing up and we keep doing the work, that's when we improve, and not in a fixed way or a linear way where, okay, I got better this week, got better this week, got better this week, got better this week, and now I'm good enough that I can accomplish anything easier than that. It's just giving us more time to get more familiar, more experience, program more patterns into our brain so things can be more automatic. Because that's what true skill is when you've done something enough and you're familiar with things enough that they become automatic and that you can do it confidently. But even simple music might not be automatic the very first time. You have to take some time to get familiar and comfortable with it. So that's all I got for this week. Thanks so much for joining. Fill out your practice template so that you have a great week of practice. And I will see you next week on the next live Monday Music Motivation. Have a great week, everybody, and happy practice.